I mean, ultimately, the idea kind of came from the concept of all of the drum corps. I mean, it is kind of a similar situation of isolation, of community, of kind of being on this in this place on this island um, for an extended period of time. You know, and I'm sure it's a little different today because of social media and cell phones, and but I can remember when I marched, and I'm sure back before when I marched even more. But um, you know, you really did feel like you might not see any television. You might catch a headline as you pass through a convenience store. If you wanted to talk to anybody on the phone, you had to, you know, wait in a long line with the very little bit of time, free time you had. So you really, I mean, I really felt disconnected from the world when I was marching, and even the first few years, it's not until this era, but so and it kind of had some roots in that, um, you know, but also the idea of um, you know, well, I guess even before I say SOS, when we originally first kind of came upon this idea, we were calling it Lost and Found. You know, not saying that that's going to be for sure the title, but kind of stumbled across somehow listening to Amazing Grace. You know, this just kind of popped up. I don't know if I heard it or if I just the words popped into my head, and just started thinking about you know, what could be a literal interpretation of the more spiritual or existential lyrics of being lost and found and saved. And it seemed to just lend itself to this Lord of the Flies, Castaway, Lost thing. And we kind of thought that well, I guess in the initial part, I kind of thought that the humanity part of all of that struggle that would go into being stranded on a desert island, it connected with the isolation of drum corps, would make a good, as you said, it would make a good drum corps scenario, a good show scenario, and something that we could all relate to, the audience could relate to, the members could relate to, and so it kind of was born. And as it evolved, and we had to obviously play more than just Amazing Grace, although that was always the hook. We needed more spiritual hymn type music. That's when we got Salvation is Created. But we also then kind of shifted from Lost and Found to something that more spoke to the distress and came to SOS, which is Save Our Souls. And that has a percussive element to it, the dot, 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 dash, 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 dot, dot, dot. So that became another rhythmic motif that we could use through the show. That also spoke to the emotional journey that we wanted to take with this. So I'm just kind of rambling because it's been a while since this started, so I apologize. But you know, those are all the thoughts that come to my mind of where it came from and how it evolved a little bit from Lost and Found to SOS. And then, you know, one of the things that we talked about was going to be difficult was the setting, you know, to not make it look like a tropical paradise or tropical vacation. And so we really had to kind of play with some real, so we could imagine it. Like the shoreline always in my head had to be real, like that it looked like we just kind of came out of the water and just barely clinging to our lives. But then like the jungle, like, you know, not having real palm trees. So we ended up with this jungle of sticks, metal sculpture that also could then be used as an element of spelling things, because we although we've seen that before, other groups have done it, we've done it where you spell things in the drill, but we really felt like this this call for help would be a lot of writing in the sand, you know, a lot of like help or SOS or you know, lost. Some of the other things that we've done where we're able to use people and we're able to use those sticks that once were the jungle that then become a resource to trying to be part of our salvation and our being saved. So that jungle had to be a little bit more abstract. And so then it kind of became a little bit about like what parts can be real and what parts should be abstract, and that kind of duality and balance, so that it could not not look too tropical paradise like, but have a little bit of edge to it. And we kind of did the same thing with the costuming. The guard looks a little bit more like they found things on the island to make into their costumes more realistically, and the core has more of an abstract. The coloration is tropical. There's navigation elements to it. There's a compass design that's kind of part of the way the body's divided. There's actually coordinates on their costume that one set of coordinates is Boston, the other set is Lucas Oil Stadium, and
that's cool.
I
didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah,
no, that coordinates thing. That's very cool.
Yeah, so balancing the abstract and the literal also kind of became, I mean, and a lot like what the theme of the show is. I mean, there's the literal, like being lost and being saved, and there's the abstract, which is more spiritual or existential, however you want to look at it, whether you're a religious person or not a religious person. I think we can all relate to like a series of circumstances that might lead us to rock bottom, and in some way needing to survive and to climb out, to be saved by whatever, to be saved by a friend, to be saved by yourself, to be saved by a religious figure. So there's just a lot of balance between real or figurative and literal in the show, visually and thematically.
Yeah, no, it's great. And see, the reason I love having these conversations is because there are a lot of people out there, myself included, that try to figure out, how do you put a show together? How do you come up with an idea for a show? How do you develop an idea for a show? Well, you just described that in a really interesting way. Like maybe we started with this song and then some words, and then like all the ways that then develops and you make choices from that. I think it's really interesting because people struggle with that. How do you take, even if you have a great show idea, you start with Amazing Grace, you start with Lost and Found, and what do you do? So it's interesting how that process panned out.
Watch the rest of this conversation in its entirety at marchingartseducation.com/DCI 2018. Find more interviews with the design staff members of other top DCI cores at marchingartseducation.com/DCI 2018. We are offering a special discount for DCI fans. Use coupon code DCI 2018 at checkout to receive free access to any paid video or webinar at marchingartseducation.com. And find many free videos and webinars available now. Have your best season ever by learning from the top professionals in the marching arts at marchingartseducation.com.